and welcome in to be our guest. You know, it seems like in 2020 that the whole world and the country, everything is happening with what I call the knee-jerk reaction. Something happens, and then all of a sudden, it's got a knee-jerk, and we're going to try to make something different happen. Well, you know, what we have to do, stop, take a deep breath, really analyze what it is we're doing, then move forward from there. So today I have with me Helen Searcy, and you're representing a group of individuals that actually graduated from Sidney Lanier High School.
Graduates and friends.
And graduates and friends, and obviously there's a move afoot to change names of the different high schools. It's gone before the school board now, and of course, just to be honest, I'll let everybody know that anybody from the school board is perfectly welcome to call me up. Helen and her group actually reached out to me, and that's the reason they're here. We do this show so we can show different sides of the story on everything that's happening. So, and people from the school board have been on this show before. So we got that out of the way.
Okay.
So basically, when I did a little bit of reading, I found that old Sidney Lanier, or they sometimes call him Sid for short, was, you know, he was basically a musician.
Yes, a scholar.
Yeah,
yes.
a scholar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, a musician and a scholar. The times are changing, and
Yes.
a lot of the graduates of Lanier understand, you know, the feelings about Jeff Davis, the name Jeff Davis,
Right.
and the name Robert E. Lee. We understand that, and we are not opposing that. We are strictly speaking about Lanier, about this Save Our Sidney. This is
Right.
our group. Sidney Lanier was not a soldier. He was a poet. He was a scholar. He only lived to be 39 years old. His biggest crime was that he played the flute in the Confederate Army band. That was his weapon of choice.
Right.
He was almost a conscientious objector, if that term was
He existed, and I'm sure it was back then, you know.
And he wrote later that he really did not agree with the war. So what our group, Save Our Schools, we are opposing the fact that Lanier is being lumped in with the fervor over
Right.
the other two school names. Lanier has always stood for education and knowledge and excellence. In fact, many years ago, when I graduated, they had one of the highest number of National Merit Scholarship finalists in the state. We had championship football teams. It was the first site of the original LAMP Advanced Academic
I
Magnet
remember that,
program.
yes.
So Lanier has always been a symbol of excellence, and you know we are concerned and disappointed that our city now is going to erase this excellence simply because Sidney Lanier lived during that time and he
Right.
played a flute in the band, and that is not a military leader at all.
And then, you know, he actually became also a writer and a poet.
Oh yes, yes.
He was very much involved in education.
Oh yes.
He was an educator.
He was the organist at Prattville First Presbyterian Church. He was the guest organist a lot here in Montgomery First Presbyterian Church. He was a principal and a teacher at the Prattville Male and Female Academy. He went on to be on the faculty at Johns Hopkins University. He was first chair flutist at Oglethorpe University and the orchestra there.
Right.
So his short life, he only lived to be 39 years old.
Wow.
His short life he wrote like hundreds of poems. He wrote one novel. He was a scholar. He was never a soldier.
Right, right. And you know, and people can kind of understand that until the draft went away, and I'm old enough to remember the draft, people got drafted into the service. Now, they may not want to and he may have gotten drafted in and said, okay, I'm here because obviously I was drafted, but I'm not going to be a gunsman. I'm not going to go.
I mean, can you imagine? I mean, even now, I mean, as far I can remember the Vietnam War. Can you imagine a young man saying people were pretty much conscripted back then, and can you imagine him saying, "No, I'm not going to serve"?
Right, right.
I mean, just look at all the flack that the Vietnam era had for people not serving. So,
well, and a lot of those were volunteers that went in even during that period of time. And the sad part about it, when the Vietnam War veterans came back and they didn't make that choice to go to Vietnam, the people in the United States were kind of ostracizing
Yes,
him.
that's they went through.
Yeah.
So we don't know Sidney Lanier's train of thought, but we do know what he did, which was play a flute. He
Right.
did not carry a gun. When he was captured, and he spent the last of the war as a POW. That's where he caught tuberculosis and died very young. But he was caught with his flute.
Right.
So that, as I said, that's his weapon of choice. That was his weapon of choice.
So for viewers that are watching this right now, I know that the school board did make a vote, and they voted obviously to change the names.
Right.
But is it, so to speak, in cement, or is it something that has to? If it's just that's the initial vote, then it goes out to the people, or can they make all those decisions themselves?
What we are the Save Our Sidney. What
Right.
we are pursuing or investigating legal avenues,
Right.
and through the Historical Commission and through the Alabama Monument Association.
Right.
So we are not finished yet. We have lost a battle, but we have not lost the war yet.
Absolutely.
So it may come. They may do it anyway, but we're not going to go down without a fight.
Sure.
So, because it means too much to too many people, and it's not right that school is caught up in the fervor.
Well, that's right. Like I said in the onset here, everything's done with kind of a knee jerk, and they just lump everything together
Right.
without really stopping to think, okay, is this the right thing or not the right thing?
Right. Yes, it was a very raucous. The board members were under a lot of pressure. I will have to say that.
Sure.
It was a very raucous board meeting. It's amazing to me that you can't have civil discourse anymore. But it was a lot of screaming and hollering and all that. So I understand that they're under a lot of pressure.
Right.
But still, we're we are going to pursue this.
Yeah. And obviously, I'm a great believer that you hear the term a lot, politically correct.
Yes.
And I say, let's take politics away from the word correct. Let's do the correct thing.
Yes, absolutely.
Let's do the correct thing.
And perhaps the Jeff Davis and the Lee, maybe that is the right thing to do.
Sure.
To change the names.
Right.
But Lanier is totally different, and we just ask that they be considered differently.
Right.
Yeah.
Good. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And just
Thank you.
remember this, obviously, as I mentioned on the onset, things can happen, and they can happen in a heartbeat. You have to let your views be known, as this organization did. Otherwise, you can wake up one morning and say, what happened? And we'll be right back right after this.